Ninjago Plotholes. What happened to Airjitzu? How is Kai holding the golden armor? Why are Lloyd's eyes green? Eyes aren't supposed to do that. Ninjago is a show with many plot holes. Or is it? Welcome to Tommy Forgot Debunked, a show where I look at commonly mentioned Ninjago plot holes and debunk them to remind myself that Ninjago is a kids show with a fan base of children who don't understand simple concepts such as aging. Before I start, I need to address that things such as where's Pythor and who is the Vengestone buyer are not plot holes. Those are just questions that the show hasn't answered yet. With that out of the way, let's begin. What happened to true potential powers? True potential itself isn't really a power, it's really more of a gateway to one's elemental potential. The true potential attacks and abilities are just a sign of that gateway being opened. I can see this one being confusing since it's really vague, but the fact that we've never seen these again kind of proves this. It's also worth noting that in the Book of Spinjitzu, it's stated that one cannot unlock their elemental dragon without unlocking their true potential first, further proving that true potential is a gateway rather than an actual power itself. Why did Ninjago City stop being futuristic after rebooted? This one is so obvious if you just watch the season. The reason why the Overlord was able to return in the first place was because everyone relied so heavily on technology. Everything in the city was automated, which allowed for a much easier uprising. It was literally the point of the season. I don't get how anyone could have missed this. This next segment contains spoilers for Ninjago Seabound, so if you have not seen that, please skip to the next segment. The future reflections are wrong. We actually don't know if that's true or not, because Nia could return anytime. The reflections were clear foreshadowing to Skybound, which was the following season. We were shown Jay with an eye patch, Cole invisible, and Jay, of course, with Nia. But obviously Jay didn't keep his eye patch, Cole is no longer a ghost, and Nia is no longer, Basically, we don't know what the future holds for the ninja. Jay could still lose an eye, Cole could still die, and Nia could still return. To say the future reflections are wrong because of the current events in the show is invalid, as these events could still happen from now until the future. Why did the ninja lose their fame after Skybound? This is another one that isn't necessarily true. They didn't stop being famous, they just stopped being publicized. The ninja were probably able to convince Dareth that having the ninja double as celebrities wasn't a very good idea, and I'm sure Jay and Nia probably had a big part in convincing him. Even after Skybound, the ninja are still plenty famous. Remember people like Nelson and Jake who are clearly big fans of the ninja. What happened to elemental dragons in Airjitzu? If I had to guess, elemental dragons in Airjitzu were probably added to sell toys first. Don't get me wrong, they worked well in the show, but they weren't made with the idea of long terms. Tommy has expressed that he doesn't see the idea of Airjitzu and elemental dragons fitting the show anymore. Though just because they don't fit, it doesn't really explain why they don't use them. This is one that doesn't really have a canonical explanation, especially with Nia acknowledging Airjitzu and Prime Empire, but it does have a practical answer. Elemental dragons in Airjitzu are very overpowered and remove stakes. Is it bad writing to just remove them? Yes, especially since the ninja were on an uphill of gaining new powers and abilities, but without them, enemies like the SOG wouldn't be much of a problem if the ninja could just fly away from them. It should also be noted that in Way of the Departed, a non-canon book by Tommy and Jerison, Airjitzu is no longer used by the ninja because it uses a form of dark magic, similar to Forbidden Spinjitzu. As for the elemental dragons, there is no explanation yet, but one could easily assume that the ninja have not conquered their fears yet. One cannot manifest their dragons without doing so. My personal explanation is that in a time of no guidance from Wu, the ninja gained new fears. We see this in Lloyd as he has the fear of ending up like his father, a fear that he gained from the events of the Oni trilogy. How are Rei and Maya still alive when the rest of the Elemental Alliance isn't? This one is one of the most common plot holes I see, but it's not hard to explain at all. Rei and Maya were young during the Serpentine Wars, likely in their 20s. If it had been 40 years between the Serpentine Wars and Hands of Time, they'd only be in their 60s now. I've seen people act like they haven't aged either. This isn't true. Though it's nuanced, they do have physical differences between their younger and older counterparts, as seen here. Maya's eyebrows and Rei's beard are a lot thinner, and they both have less defined jawlines. The rest of the elemental masters shown are clearly old and died between the birth of the ninja. Someone that people often overlook is Jay's biological mother, which actually helps explain this point pretty well. But we don't even know if Jay's biological mother has died yet. We know Cliff Gordon, Jay's father, is dead, but it's very possible that Jay's mom is still alive. Jay's mom was young at the time, and Cliff Gordon's death was fairly recent, so I don't see where the confusion of how Ray and Maya are still alive comes from. And finally, the biggest plot hole in Ninjago. Does Robo-Usher 3000's name imply that there were 2,999 Robo-Ushers before him? I guess some plot holes are best left undiscussed. And that's gonna be it for Debunking Tommy Forgot, Episode 1? If you guys have any plot holes that you would like to see me answer, that I didn't discuss in this video, or any common plot holes that do have answers, please let me know in the comments. I'd love for this to become a series on this channel. Before I end this video, I think I should acknowledge that this is my first video here. I have a lot of plans for the channel, but it's gonna be more of a hobby thing than anything else. If there's any Ninjago or even just like LEGO content you'd like to see me cover, as long as it's not like reviews or news videos or anything like that, I'm open to suggestions. Thank you to everyone that's come from my Instagram. It's been great to see you guys here, and if you're new, welcome. That's gonna be it for today. See you guys.